the structure of the deal, the timing, the why, but essentially, what is it you've been able to acquire that you didn't have or that you couldn't have done yourself, Eric?
Yeah, so great question. And firstly, thank you for having me on the show, Ed. It is an important day for Ondas. So what we're seeing in terms of opportunity is that we're in the early innings of a massive adoption cycle around unmanned and autonomous systems. And this is after a long period of what I would call foundational work in terms of developing and maturing the tech stack. So the things you're seeing today in the battlefield were really started to be incubated well over a decade ago. And for Ondas, the opportunity we're seeing in how this market's going to evolve is we think there's a tremendous number of really valuable and critical technology platforms being developed. However, we need to bring them to the market and scale. So that means we have to scale the supply chain, fuel support and services and sustainment, and essentially industrialize this industry. So with DZYNE, it was an amazing opportunity for us to really deepen the portfolio that we have been building previously, both through internal activities as well as acquisitions. So DZYNE for us is we're across now what we call persistent ISR. They bring to what is already a very powerful and existing counter-drone portfolio at Ondas. Right. So now we're having wide capabilities, and we're just going to be delivering those now at scale to customers.
So that bit I'm interested in. You have drones, counter-drone systems, and the communications tech. Who is the customer? You just basically want to be a one-stop shop for the Pentagon, or it's more complex than that?
Absolutely. So clearly, the Department of War and the combatant commands and armed services branches of the United States are critical customers for us. But what we're doing in terms of business model is really creating a global operating platform so we can deliver these technologies to allied countries and militaries. So that's in the Middle East, that's in Europe, in a big way in the United States, which of course is the largest market for us.
Eric, how able are you to do business with U.S. allies away from the United States as a customer?
Yeah, so it's become more complex. We've come, as we've seen military doctrine and geopolitics evolve, there's an extreme effort or emphasis on what I call localization. So for example, Made in America policies mean the technology platforms you're developing and bringing to the U.S. have to be supported with the U.S. supply chain, have to be sold and serviced and sustained by U.S. citizens. The same thing's happening in Europe, right? We're making Europe great again. So what we're doing there is we're partnering with local defense and industrial companies who bring expertise in around markets. They bring supply chain scale, and they bring the ability to support these activities in the field. I think that's the way we're going to have to grow businesses now. You can still be global, but you have to be very local, and that's the core tenet of our business model.
You structured this as $200 million in cash, and then about $675 million in stock with basically a lockup for 6 months. Why structure it that way, and how much room do you have to do more M&A to go out and get properties you think add to what you do?
Sure. So I'll start with the latter first. We have substantial capacity to continue to evolve on what we call the core and strategic growth platform. And I do believe that continuing to expand the portfolio in our operating platform through acquisitions is going to be incredibly valuable for our investors and our customers and partners. So, in terms of why we structured the deal the way we did, the counterparty, Highland Partners, who was the majority owner of DZYNE, of course, had liquidity needs. There's going to be taxes and to be paid. So we did include cash in the deal. At the same time, they were very eager in partnering with Ondas. They're super bullish on what DZYNE does. They know the ramp there, and they believe in our business model. So, so Highlander and the investors of DZYNE are more than happy to take Ondas shares because they see quite a bit of upside in both the near term and longer term.
Eric, I want to go back to the Bloomberg Big Take that our defense editor, Jerry Doyle, was outlining. The headline, the $2 trillion race for the control of the future battlefield. We got into this idea that, unsurprisingly, the United States and China are not just the biggest spenders, but if you look at China, very closely aligned with private industry. How does that impact you at Ondas? How does that put pressure on you or give you an opportunity in this environment?
Well, certainly there's the arms race is started, right? And it's not a question of will we be able to develop these unmanned systems or not, or we will be able to produce the drones. We absolutely will be able to. At the same time, there are challenges around how we're localizing the business. Of course, it's well understood that over the last 20 plus years, we have deindustrialized in the United States. That means the supply chain has moved to China. And I think what you're seeing among policymakers ranging from the White House to Congress to the Pentagon, there is a significant emphasis on rebuilding our defense industrial base, and we're going to be participating in that. And I think when you think about strategies that Ondas is deploying and others in our industry on all sides of the table, vendors, supply chain, producers and manufacturers, we have to bring scale, right? So we have to, in terms of industrializing, we have built hundreds and hundreds of, I'll call them drone companies. Today, we need to put them on operating platforms so we can get the scale and unit economics that will justify bringing those investments here to the U.S. to industrialize. So I think that cycle is already well on its way, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to rise to the occasion. We will have exceptional unmanned and autonomous systems in leadership in this sector for sure.